All right, so we have a new episode of Legends and Leaders, and today it's great to have Ben here. Ben, you're behind a really exciting company. I think it's like has the potential to completely revolutionize the space and for farming. And you have built up these machines that are autonomous. They take a lot of the work out of it that traditional humans have had to do. And it's not even just like the machines that you've helped really create. Is you've also built up this entire like end-to-end platform. You can manage a fleet, that you have great software, and it really complements the human involved in it too. It doesn't just entirely take them away. And this has made farming, much better for people. It's made it much more cost efficient, and you have more produce being made, and just in general because of this. So I'm excited to have you here and to get into your story.
Yeah, cheers, Ben. Excited to be here also. It's always great to do something which involves the edge of the technology all together with doing good and making sure that at the end of the day we'll have each and every one on this planet can have food which is with good nutrition and doesn't cost you a mortgage.
100%. I'm on the same page there. So, how did your interest in like the world of entrepreneurship and wanting to build a company in this like farming space with autonomous tech, like how did that passion start? Because you seem to have a little bit of a different background beforehand.
Yeah, I come from a background dealing with autonomous vehicles at scale, from ideation to scale, from the defense industry, a huge amount of time. And when going to the civilian life, trying to see how we can implement those capabilities and doing good with the values of fellowship, love of the land, innovation, and $1 million. And this is how I went out and said, okay, let's do it, bootstrapping and see where can it be implemented in a good solution and area. And gathered around an amazing team. And when we're talking about fellowship, it's not just who we work with, it's also who should be the correct partners and investors. It's all the way. And I think this was critical on the get to go. Setting goals and vision together without really knowing where it will be the impact, and making sure that the team is with the biggest diversity, not on the values maximum alignment, and the capabilities maximum diversity. So that was really one of the best things that in a retrospective that I can say that this was key for the success that we are at right now.
Mhm. How important do you think the experience being in the Air Force was to like understanding how to take risks and be a leader just in general?
I really like veterans as a whole. It doesn't matter where. Today, it's okay to talk about soft and hard world following the elections and everything. But I think it's mainly about resilience, the ability to get a punch and to rise up and to see to understand why you're doing things. You're dealing a lot with uncertainties. The environment is always changing. We had COVID, we had so many things in the last 5 years. We had interest rates and others. And the idea of to find the opportunity, believe in the cause. I think these are the best things that can happen. Other than that, is also how to get from an idea to actual capability at the end of the game, because the bottom line really cares. So it's not just let's keep on developing. No, let's make sure that we have an amazing grower that takes a bunch of vehicles and operates with his iPad on his existing tractors day and night. So it's complex. You have the roadmap, you have the idea how to get there, and you have the correct attitude, I guess.
Makes sense. So, what specifically led to the founding of Blue White? Like, was there just some experience that you had, like, hey, the farming situation could be much better. It just nobody's really applied autonomous tech to it. Let's do that. Like, what led to the specific founding of the company?
So two things. One is technology, and the other is need. And the technology is that autonomous vehicles can actually be implemented. And the idea that we came from a place that having no connectivity, working in off-road area, working with no GPS and rugged environment, it was our happy place on the tech side, and implementing AI and computer vision and sensor fusion. These are things that we're dealing with in the for the last 2 decades of how to implement it and to make it simple. And on the other side is seeing growers, farmers, where they don't have any workers, where kids, Gen Z, are there with they're unable even to understand what a clutch is, to press a clutch. Never mind driving on a tractor 12 hours a day with chemicals and suffering from illness in this harsh environment. Baby boomers are retiring, so you don't have anyone to work the land. And we do want people to work the land just in a different way. So the idea of we know how to implement the revolution of autonomous vehicles, moving from pilots and drivers to robot operators. This is what the 21st century is all about. So we said, hey, let's do it. We feel that we can do it. We looked around, asked the big companies like Case New Holland, John Deere, and others, okay, well, are you up to it? And we understood that they are far behind. We understood that the need is high, and we just went all in.
Mhm. So no, I definitely get where this was needed. But actually like making a system like this, Ben, I'm sure is not too easy. But what was the
No.
first version like? How did you actually go and make it? Did you have the experience yourself to even develop this? Like how did you build the team that was needed too?
Okay, so the main idea was is how do you buy time to develop. And to develop an autonomous vehicle, you cannot do it in the lab. You need to really run it. Today we are 70,000 hours after,
Mm.
140 people. A commercial autonomous vehicle, meaning we take any existing tractor, transform it to autonomous, one hardware and one software for any type of tractor, any type of crop, any type of operation. This is the goal. We knew that this is the end game, but it starts with finding a customer which is eager to create change. Usually, these are families or companies who've been there for more than a century, and now it's their shift to make sure that they keep on making food, and they come and say, okay, you need a playground, play in my field, and let's start working over there and together to understand how should it be done. And the amount of things that we didn't know is huge. And we didn't know that there is no reception in California for cellular. We didn't know that there is no GPS at all under foliage of almonds. Where we didn't know how dark it is outside there when you need to move with computer vision and you need to do sensor fusion with other sensors and other things. Um, and slowly and gradually, because you have this methodology of how you learn and create capability, teach algorithms, teach AI, and mature them, and 2, 3 years after, you have vehicles running at the fields without anybody in the tractor, spraying, mowing, and you gather along more and more people from their ecosystem, not just growers, dealers, and OEMs like Case New Holland, who we worked with on, okay, what do we want to do and how to implement it. We talked for almost 2 years together until we
Wow.
signed a huge contract on that. So it's a long play. It's big. It's something that we're talking about disrupting the world. And in 10 years from now, I'm guessing we'll ask ourselves, okay, how did people even drive with chemicals around them and drive all day and all night with the tractors? And it's so normal to see people with the iPads and those vehicles running. So
Definitely an
this is
exciting
how,
future. Yeah. So, I mean, you decided to go with the approach of let's take an existing tractor and let's make it autonomous. You could have built an entirely new vehicle from scratch. Was the
Yeah.
thinking like, well, there's all these companies that already make these vehicles. They already have that distribution. We're gonna have to compete with them. Might as well just work together with them. And that's an easier way to get into the market.
So definitely, yes. Fellowship is critical when you want to disrupt. We are not disrupting. We are helping with development, especially in when we are aiming to be number one autonomous vehicle company in off-road. But there are growers who've been there for a few centuries. There were dealerships who've been there for at least 100 years. We have 150-year-old companies and tractor companies. There is no way that I can bring in the best tractor. And also financially, these tractors are amazing. They're supposed to drive for 5, 20, for anything between 5 to 20 or 30 years. Some tractors even drive more than that. Why shouldn't we, use already those existing vehicles that are running there and maximize the capability? There is no reason to create more investments. So, implementing software, hardware, the minimum needed. Um, the situation, just as an example, today we're sending an IKEA box like
Uh,
to a dealer that he has a tractor in the morning. It's a totally regular, normal tractor with nothing on it. And in the afternoon, after around 7 hours, it's a fully autonomous
wow.
vehicle. So why not use those existing tractors and create this capability? So
How did you get it to 7 hours? That's all it takes.
we started from uh, we designed it in a way that we said, okay, what is the cost per hour? Well, how many hours are we allowed to spend on transforming it? Now let's make it happen. So we designed it for 20 hours, two people, 10 hours on the maximum for one day. And we brought it to the dealership. We said, hey, here is how we've done it. And this is how we train. And we trained them for like 2 days until they know how to do it. And they came to us after 4 days and said, we did it in 14, it can be much faster. So, so this is how it evolved.
Huh. It's amazing you can make it work like that.
Yeah. I mean, again, these people are amazing. The ecosystem is amazing. The idea is, what do you bring in? Just bring things that haven't been there. Bring good algorithms, good system engineering, good software and hardware relationship. These all things are new. Edge compute, cloud, cybersecurity. These are things new. Make it very simple to use, as simple as possible. Big buttons, automatic built-in test and automatic malfunctions recovery. All those things are complex, but they have been done in a certain way in other places, so you can implement it here and mature it really fast. That's about it.
Makes sense. So just like creating this autonomous technology and actually making it work with all different types of tractors, because you have to make it work across the board.
Yeah.
How difficult is that? Or is it really just the same system?
So there are a few layers in autonomy,
Mhm.
and there are the muscles at the bottom, how to move the tractor. This is different. Each family of tractors usually have the same idea. So over there, you need some tweaks and shticks in between. Above it, you have the sensors. It's okay, what do I see? What do I feel? What do I hear? This is the same. At the edge, you have a computer. And what is nice that it knows, okay, where am I? I'm in an almond tree area. It's daytime, it's winter. It's California. Oh, so we need this algorithm, this algorithm, this algorithm, and this algorithm. I don't need the whole 50 algorithms that I have. I can pick and choose. Above it, you have communication that needs to talk to the cloud or to you as a user. So this will be quite simple, and it's not simple. It will be identical, I'd say, to each and every one. So again, it's about system architecture that you make it flexible enough that you can pick and choose from the stack how to do it. We've done a lot of mistakes at the beginning. It wasn't as simple as possible. We did a lot of trial and error, but today we have something that is really unique.
Mhm. And just like getting your first company to like the first tractor company to want to work with you. I mean, I'm sure then it probably wasn't that easy initially, but why, how did you get the first one and why do you think that they wanted to work with you?
Um, I think in any relationship, just like in every relationship, is you need to create a fit where you are not overriding things that are invented in the other place, and you start with values. You start with understanding the need. For example, time to market is a huge need. I don't think the industry understood how labor shortage is going to happen so fast.
Uh,
And I don't think, if, for example, company doesn't do an aftermarket kit, they do a new tractor and it will take time. And they cannot, it's harder for them, I'd say, to do a new tractor autonomy without having the autonomous experience before because you need to practice. So we're understanding, okay, what is the correct fit? And also they have amazing engineers inside the company that are doing things. So, okay, you do this part of the stack, we will do this part of the stack. Um, a lot of listening. I'd say when you need to be very humble in certain places and you need to be very professional in other places. It's about people. It's about being genuine as much as possible, not to oversell, and then things happen. If it doesn't happen, it's just I think it's just not supposed to happen. For this is how I believe in it.
yeah. No, I like to look at it like that too. I think that's the best way and it sets your kind of keeps your expectations aligned along the way too.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You need to be as transparent as possible. But there are things that are more than what can you give me right now is can we work together also for a long term? Okay, or you don't try to get a quick win or something like that. It's just bullshit.
Mhm. Yeah. So, when you're looking at like the kind of savings you can have from this, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm sure that's the biggest selling point, Ben, when you're telling this to anybody. Because like, yeah, like you don't have a human inhaling all these chemicals like you're mentioning earlier, but I mean now you have somebody, you don't have to pay potentially a person to do this, they can do something else. It can go 24/7, autonomously. Like how do you communicate these savings and what are the biggest savings that autonomous tractor has?
Yeah, a lot of people are trying to talk about better yield and you will create more. And it's really very hard to prove it, or it takes time until it's proven. But
Mhm.
operation cost is something that you see immediately.
Right.
Okay, I've had this. This is how much I paid for labor, or I didn't even have the ability to operate because I didn't have that person, or this is how much we paid for God forbid, fatalities or injuries or other things like that that are happening, or workers with cancer. So things like that that you can evaluate and calculate. So safety is critical, I think, and it was maybe in the past we people just looked at it to the other side and ignored it, but today we every day we understand how this important, and it's safety is money. The amount of chemicals, you can see it immediately when you're driving and you're doing targeted spraying, where our sensors also see if there is a tree or is, and you can just decide if you spray or not. You just see that you save 80% of the amount of chemicals in a certain run. So it's not just small money. The amount of time that vehicle have been running. Usually they just run the amount of time that I have a person. So it's around 8 hours. Suddenly you don't need 10 vehicles, seven will do or six will do because you don't need so many. Um, you don't press a clutch, you drive at the correct speed. So even the maintenance is lower because you just treat the vehicle just drives smoothly all the time. So all those things together come to a way that you understand that whatever you invest, you return the investment after a year on something that is supposed to work for 5 years. So it's huge amount of investments in an area where the margins are to create margin is really hard. So this is how you show it.
Yeah. No, I didn't realize the extent of how many different ways you can save with it. There's a lot, and I wasn't thinking of all those. And do you still view this like as a humans are gonna be working with AI? Like that's kind of the relationship we're gonna have, not like AI replacing everything.
Definitely, yes, in a good way. People think as of AI as a of a wild computer running a rogue, and it's not like that. What we're creating, especially around autonomy, is a lot of redundancies and safety measures of how to make sure that things are controlled and what is available or not available. For example, something that is really nice at off-road and it cannot happen on a highway, the tractor can just stop if it's uncertain. You're not driving so fast, just stop, recalibrate, rethink, or something like that. So this is an environment where AI is really helping, and we're doing classic algorithms together with AI, so it keeps on learning and learning, and we see the evolvement. Um, I think also today, after the last year where everybody is doing ChatGPT or something like that at least once a day, um, it's becoming more and more obvious. And of course, yes, I can work with it, and this is how I work.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's happening.
It's happening regardless if anyone wants it or not. It's just happening.
And I think it's controlled. We need to make sure that it's controlled and that we are creating a correct infrastructure that enables those algorithms to decide on certain areas. We're talking about safety, we're talking about the quality of work, we're talking about efficiency. This is how we deal with it. I was a bit pessimistic, I'd say, about the ability of it to cope 4 years ago. What we see today and the amount of new capabilities that we are addressing in a much faster time, I think it's amazing. We'll see more and more of it, and I hope it will do just good to the world.
Yes, same. Just the last question that I have, Ben.
Yeah.
What do you aspire to accomplish now? Like, what are some of the short-term goals you have, the long-term goals? Like, what's your big picture vision for what you're building?
Um, our big picture is to be number one off-road autonomous capability. We want to work with everybody, with all the big OEMs, all the growers, all the dealers, all the ecosystem, all the chemical companies. We're not going to work just in agriculture. We'll work in construction, in mining, in demining, in space. There is no reason for Bluewhite not to be on Mars and to do the, 20 157, I'd say 2100, to do, to create those autonomous environments. I wish that we'll create safe areas that people will have the ability to create food at scale. Um, uh, we're going to have 10 billion people on this planet quite soon. We need everybody to be fed correctly and in a good way. And all I want is that Bluewhite will be part of this amazing thing that is happening. I don't want to win it all. I just want to be part of the gang.
Hmm. On space, that's gonna be pretty cool.
It's going to happen for sure. There's no other way.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing what's going to happen next. I think you've already had a great impact on this space and showed the world, what you can do with autonomous tech and farming and agriculture. And it's an area that's going to be autonomy is going to have a huge part in this. And I mean, I think there's going to be a lot more to come from there. So I look forward to what's next and wish you much success. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. And any entrepreneur that wants to dream, just do it. And let's help them succeed. It's important. Thank you, Ben, and do good.